Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
So today we have Alexander Shafer. He is in Naples, Florida, life advancement coach, as well as he just got certified in Changa, as well as his wife just got certified in sound healing. They do a beautiful thing down in Naples with sound healing and mattresses, Kundalini energy. He's a really cool guy. We've known him for about 4 years now. All right. Welcome.
Great couple weeks. I mean, I just got back from big medicine. You just got back. We've had some life revolutions coming, evolutions.
We did. It's been a really interesting couple of weeks. You had gone to Costa Rica for an iboga retreat.
Yep.
Had a little bit of a turnaround down there. We're going to talk about that on another podcast.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a private one.
And luckily ended up at Jungle Medicine, where our tribe, the Shawanawa tribe, happened to be. So there you went and sat with them there. How was it?
Fantastic. I was, back to that medicine, where it all started. So I'm really, really grateful for that whole little tour. Pretty cool.
It was very cool. Experience. And you came home and I went. I had a big ayahuasca journey myself, a couple of them. We got to reconnect with the tribe, which we love, love, love them. And with Angel at Jungle Medicine, they're going to have some retreats coming up. So more to come on that too.
It's different doing medicine with the more experience you get. Really pretty cool.
Yeah. Speaking of medicine, Mama Dose.
Mama Dose. Man, they've been screwing Mama Dose lately, haven't they? But she's back. They got a new group, Mama Dose Love, the new group. The space is being a little bit looked upon lately. So,
it's difficult. We have a lot of hoops to jump through to be able to provide medicine.
Provide education,
information and education, which we do.
Absolutely. So we have a really good guest today, Alexander Shafer. Going to look forward to talking to him.
Very much.
He'll be coming up next.
All right.
Hey, Alex. Great to have you today, my friend. We've known each other for a little bit now, about 3-4 years? We met Alex at our local dispensary.
Yeah, you're the first person that we met, like locally in this space.
Yeah, we did. We met him. And we met him through also another friend of ours who was Charles Patty, because Charles had the ketamine clinic. But, why don't we let Alex introduce himself and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Alexander Shafer. I'm a Naples, Florida native. And just like they said, we met about 3.5-4 years ago. And I had just come back from a plant medicine retreat down in Costa Rica. And they had just opened this beautiful website, the Plant Medicine Path. And they came in, we immediately clicked, and I knew this was my tribe. And then, yes, we did meet each other. I also worked with Charles Patty at the ketamine clinic, just navigating those psychedelics and getting more experience on this journey.
What brought you to psychedelics in the first place?
I get that a lot. Rock bottom moment. Myself, I didn't struggle with like a drug addiction per se, but I look at alcohol as a drug, and I was kind of relapsing with alcohol, never had been arrested. I didn't have issues. And then once I woke up in a jail cell, that's when I realized, hey, you've got issues, man. And the deeper issues, Western medicine wasn't helping me find it. So I actually found when I got out of jail, the first documentary I found was about arrhythmia, the ayahuasca retreat center that I went down to. And I went down there for 7 days and drank ayahuasca for 4 nights. And it totally humbled me. And it totally showed me that, you could be doing better. We're not mad. You're not, no reason to be upset with yourself. Just forgive, just release all this stuff you've been holding on to for 34 years. Just let it go and become a new version of yourself. And that's exactly what I've been focusing on for the last 4 years. It's been a beautiful journey.
That's a big experience, going to the jungle of Costa Rica for the very first time to drink ayahuasca.
Yes.
How many years ago was that?
It's actually going on 4 years now.
Okay. And then you come back and you worked a little bit with at a beautiful ketamine. I hate the word clinic.
I do too.
Such an awful word.
That's what it is.
It's very appropriate though, because it is a very clinical situation.
It is.
Doctors, lab coats, and syringes and all that.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So, was that the only time you sat with I? Have you sat after that? Did you have experienced any other medicines?
Yes, yes. So since then, I've experienced quite a few more, but I have made it an intention to travel back down to South America, whether it be Colombia. Well, I know Mexico's not South America, but south of the border, go to Mexico and try those medicines. So every year I've gone and traveled deeper and found different ways of expanding my consciousness. And it's just become a passion of mine.
Yeah. Passion of ours too.
Expanding your consciousness. Let's talk a little bit about that. How do you explain to somebody what it means to expand your consciousness? And to each person, I'm sure it's a little bit different, but in what way, if somebody who knew nothing about any of this and you said, I'm expanding my consciousness, what would you mean by that?
Um, it's like things happen in our lives, and I call them seal breaking moments. And it's the seal of your consciousness breaking open, and you're aware of things that you were never aware of before. You didn't know they existed, you didn't know were possibilities, you didn't know there were opportunities. So when you have so much information flooding into you, become available, and you're receptive to it, that's how you really expand your consciousness and your entire spiritual and physical being. But if you're closed off, if you know the answer to everything, you smoke a lot of cigarettes, drink a lot of alcohol, really live in the 3D matrix, don't watch your diet, you're not going to be open to all this, and you're not going to care about any of it because it doesn't affect you. But when you can advance your lifestyle and, uplift yourself to get out of those programs and the same cycles that we live in. Like I said, mine was very cyclical. And once I broke that cycle, I've just experienced nothing but expansion and growth and more money in my life, more abundance in my life, whether it be love, whether it be financial, whether it be more vacation. It's just more and more keeps coming. So the more I acknowledge it and the more I put my intention into my path, my journey, the better life gets. And God just keeps blessing and blessing.
Yeah, it's pretty funny how that works, isn't it?
It's
It's
so
really it's
easy.
really simple.
It's so easy, but everybody makes it so difficult.
Yeah,
That's the tough
definitely.
part.
Sort of like what was that book? What we learned in everything we know we learned in kindergarten, and it is the absolute truth. I was down in Costa Rica very recently, and our tribe is who I sat with, the Shawanawa tribe, and in the middle of ceremony, he came out into the middle of the Maloka and he just started speaking wisdom, speaking truth, and his translator was there, and his translator speaks so beautifully, and they just both speak beautifully. And really, the message, of course, what you want to do is write it down, but you're deep in the medicine, and you're not going to record it because it just feels like it's coming straight from the divine. The message was really just that simple, just be nice, be kind, be honest, all the things that we learned in kindergarten.
Absolutely.
This is, yeah, pretty interesting.
Simple, but yet
You know,
hard to do.
Mhm.
yeah, it really is, especially because we become this default mode system of ourselves. We just keep doing the same thing over and over. So, kind of what Alex said, cigarettes, alcohol, staying in that 3D matrix world and thinking we know everything when we really don't know nothing. So, well, I don't know nothing. I don't know more. I don't know anything more than I did 5 minutes ago. So, but so then we dive into a lot of these medicines, and then we really explore our consciousness, and we start opening up to bigger things. And like me and Michelle were really fortunate; we were able to get out of that matrix, that 3D world, and we've created some pretty spectacular things in this industry. And tell us what you've done. You've done some pretty cool things, right? You were
Oh,
you
yes,
were
definitely.
yeah. So let's jump on that.
But not only have I expanded myself and done a lot of healing inward, my wife has also joined, and she became certified in sound healing this year, just in January. And in February, we started hosting events at our local beaches, and now it's just taking off like wildfire. And then it's also expanded to me facilitating Kundalini activation, which is another deep process of surrender. Because I love plant medicine, but my intention is really to get people to those states of consciousness. You may need a plant medicine experience to really blow things away. And then you come back and we can meditate, we can do sound healing, and that'll take you to the same plane. We want to get back to the theta plane and we want to just release and absorb what's coming in. So with her joining the tribe, her friends are now questioning everything. It's really just expanded our whole community. And it's just love, it's just the person that I love the most is now mirroring me more than ever. And last night, I know you guys are going to ask me about this, but last night I got to watch my wife coach one of my ex-girlfriends. So we've navigated those waters where we've coached 3 of my ex-girlfriends now, and we've just become closer, and she's now friends with those people. And yes, in the beginning, the first one was a little awkward. We had to have a difficult conversation. But if you're in a marriage or a relationship, that's what you should do. You should face those things head on. You shouldn't have the weird energy, because I'm living with you. I'm going to have to be with you all the time, and I feel everything. So that in itself has expanded my wife and my relationship. And then again, it's expanded our community. And then earlier this year in July, I was initiated by the Comcat tribe, who's located in Mexico, and they are the guardians of the Bufo alvarius toad medicine. So we got a beautiful story about that. We can go into in another one. But they initiated me to serve a different medicine and to be an ambassador of love here in the United States
And
for
what
them. So
medicine
I'm
is
very
that?
grateful.
That they
Changa.
Changa. Tell us
We'll
about
talk a little bit
Changa.
about Changa, but let's talk first about Kundalini. I want to hear a lot of people hear Kundalini. What is Kundalini?
Kundalini energy.
Yes, yes. It's an innate energy. It's in Mother Earth. It's in our being, and it really starts at the sacral chakra, right under your belly button, right above the root. And Kunda means coiled, and Lini means energy. So it's coiled energy at the base of your spine, at your root chakra. And when you allow yourself to surrender in this process, I play loud music, and the different songs and the frequencies of the music gets your body to either shake and release, or you could shout, you could cry, you could yawn. A lot of people, it's a transmission of 2 energies. So it's an hour-long process, and we transmit the Kundalini energy and then the non-duality energy. So Kundalini energy is that energy, that fire within you, and it can create warmth inside you. And that's the shaking, and that's the release of all the trauma and the, things that we hold on to. And then the non-duality is more of a meditative state where the people are just completely laying in a very peaceful state. And almost every time they have visuals, or they see colors, or they come out saying, I've never felt this relaxed and energized at the same time. So you're allowing yourself to tap into an energy source that's within you intentionally, and then allow yourself to release through the somatic movements of your body, and the, possibly purging of shouting or screaming, or some people sing, some people have orgasms. So however you need to release the energy, whether it's sexually, whether it's verbally, whether you sweat, you can sweat. That's another way to, excrete. So it's all about purging, releasing, and allowing us to receive what's coming in, and really shake away the things that don't serve us. It's a very powerful energy, and it can take you to places like plant medicine for sure.
Definitely. That root chakra really holds a lot of our traumas. That root chakra. Once you clear that, it's really a relief. But I remember those times early in this medicine, early on, what we're all talking about here about releasing all those. It gets heavy down there, But once
Yeah.
that's gone, it's pretty cool when it's gone.
Well, you
Because you just brought up some interesting, you know, memories of that. How that really was intense, like there. That and your sacral, like your sacral, will really hold a lot of traumas too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a lot of people come to plant medicines, myself included, with IBS. Okay. All these
Sure.
issues in my gut. And I think doctors just call it IBS because they don't know what it is. It's kind of,
Yeah.
they just don't know what it is. So it's called IBS.
Yeah.
We find everything other solution that doesn't work. And what it is my body holding on to those traumas that I've been carrying since in the womb. And I was not able to truly start releasing them. And I mean purging them out. You got to purge
Mm-hmm.
them out. It's not talk therapy. Okay, great. I feel better. It is purging that shit out of you so you can make room for more to come in.
Mind, body, and spirit. Like energetically, it's gone. You
Absolutely.
feel weightless in the sense that you've lost weight and your body feels lighter, but you feel weightless in the sense that you're like floating. It's that afterglow of ayahuasca. Everybody looks like they just had a procedure done or something. Their skin looks healthier. They're smiling more. They're vibrant. It's literally the light within is shining through. And that's what plant medicine does, in my opinion.
And modalities similar to it, because we believe the same thing. You don't have to take plant medicines. I mean, breath work's been a huge part of Mark's life. And, when I was, first I did breathwork session, and I went deeper than I did on an ayahuasca journey.
Hmm.
at
Yep.
SoulQuest in a breathwork
So
session with Dr. Scott.
absolutely. So Kundalini activation. How can you do that? How do you do that? Run us through how that works.
So it's a process of surrender. If you come to one of our events, there's about 20 minutes of explanation so you understand what's going to happen. The participants come and they lay on a yoga mat, and it's really a practice of surrender. Just like in plant medicine or in ketamine, if you take the medicine and you sit there and you're holding on, you can white knuckle through it and not really have much of an experience, and your mind can overpower it. With Kundalini, the same thing can happen. So if you're not somebody who's willing to surrender and really allow your mind to just go with the flow, you probably won't have an experience. But if you're another person like me, who the surrender is just beautiful, once you connect with it, I can connect like that. And it's an energy that's so profound and so powerful that it's hard to describe how you feel. You feel reborn sometimes. So, like I said, it's very powerful. You lay down on a yoga mat, we play music. There's some upbeat songs. Maybe there's a tribal song with a lot of drumming. And that drumming will interact with the energy centers that are going through. You've got your root, your sacral, your, solar plexus, heart, throat chakra, third eye, and your crown. And there are many more chakras, but those are the 7 main ones that we can work on. And those are areas in your human body where there's actually ganglia, basal ganglia, that interact with your vagus nerve. And when you activate the vagus nerve through Kundalini activation, your body is releasing heat, it's releasing stored energy. So people can, like I said, shake. They can find self-love and cry, because they can release something that they haven't seen since they were a child, and they didn't realize they were still holding it. And then they cry and they release it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's amazing, the things. It's almost unbelievable what happens. Last night in the session we had, I touched the girl's foot because there's energy centers on the bottom. So I touched her feet, and she was holding on to this till the end of the session. And as soon as she woke up, she looks at me and she goes, "When you touch my feet, I saw the white rabbit." Okay. And to her, that was huge. To her, that was everything. And to me, I'm like, that's from the movie The Matrix. Okay. So you're you're going down the rabbit hole. You're expanding. Beautiful. That's great. But to everybody, your story is so unique to you that, like, whatever you release or whatever you experience in the Kundalini activation, it's really for you. And that's what helped me integrate in all my other parts of my journey, not just Kundalini activation, but it put it right here in my face. Like, hey, you didn't have to take plant medicine. You had an extremely deep, profound experience. And now you can integrate it without any confusion because you didn't have a psychedelic experience. You just had an energetic one, and you released a lot. So they, like I said, can shake. They can just experience the non-dual. And that's a more cold effect where you astral travel. You can leave your body. You can astral travel. Many people do this in their dream states.
Mm-hmm.
And I encourage you to write that down in your diary. It's a practice, though. It's not an awakening. It's an activation. And then it's a process. You have to do it a few times. It's not like you go to one and you're activated. It took me about 4 to get fully activated. And then I just kept going and going because I really loved it. And it was, like I said, you don't have to go to South America. You don't have to prepare. You just don't eat for 4 hours before, so your body can receive the energy. So it's the
Okay.
Kundalini energy of the earth. It's your personal Kundalini energy. And then I'm like a battery, and I just come over, or a DJ, and I come over and I touch your pressure points and I activate you in the areas that your body is showing me that it needs to be released. And through that release and through that process, people have amazing experiences.
And the music does a lot too, like those deep tones, don't
Frequency
they?
is everything.
The
Frequency
deep,
is everything in healing,
yeah,
whether
the
it's
deeper
live
the
music.
better, or no?
Absolutely.
How about water? You do some
Well,
stuff with water.
oh yeah, we do water stuff all the time. If I have somebody in a ceremony who's got trauma here, I'll fill their belly button with water and then chant into the water to activate, because your belly button is where your mother fed you, where you were created. So that's where you got
Right.
everything. So if you add water to that and then speak to it, love and compassion and
Mm-hmm.
healing words, it will do profound things. It's
So you said
magic. I mean, that's fifth dimensional work, and it's not for the people in the 3D.
so you said something about 7 chakras. There's more. How many more do you say we have?
I've heard there's like 110, 108 because there's chakras outside of our chakras. Like there could be a chakra at the end of this finger, but there could be another one an inch away. So there's people that think that way. There's people think that there are 10 because there's one above the crown and then 2 below your feet,
Mm.
below the root.
but the actual medical diagnosis for the chakras are the ones that are like profound, are the ones that are all connected to the vagus nerve,
Yes, yeah.
right?
All the seven chakras that are in your physical body are all attached to the basal ganglia in your physical body. So it's a central nervous system grouping of veins that receive information and tell you. So that's why if you get a feeling in the middle of your chest or in your stomach when somebody's talking to you and you feel like they're lying to you, you should follow this and not worry about their words, because your body is
Mm.
telling you that your
Exactly.
fight or flight resistance is not hearing the truth. They're not hearing what you need to hear at that moment.
And we don't stretch that enough. We don't work on that enough. A lot of people don't even know about that vagus nerve. And it's kind of easy to stretch out every morning, right? Or am I wrong? Isn't it a right to left stretch, or isn't
Well,
there a
you
way
do
to
it with
stretch your vagus nerve?
I activate myself with Kundalini every
Mm.
morning for about 20 to 30 minutes. But my activation's a little different. I started channeling through the class of the Kundalini activation. I was blessed with the gift of channeling light language. So through channeling light language, I actually physically feel different when I wake up, when I get up out of the 20 minutes for myself. It's a totally different experience. And I'm like energized, ready to go for the day. Um, I don't feel the need to use cannabis nearly as much. Like my cannabis intake has been cut in half since I did the activation training.
Where do you train to do this? Where does that come? Where do you
Oh,
go to do that?
my teacher is Marialina in Miami,
Mm.
so it's just across the alley, and she has another
Yeah,
training coming up in October if anybody's interested.
it's a pretty interesting thing because Kundalini is almost the same stuff that comes up when you're going through some deep transformational plant medicine experiences. It really is almost the same thing, but you can do it without the medicines. I've never been able to understand it, or I've never been able to get there before outside of the medicine, but maybe I'm just not giving myself that opportunity either. So it's
Another
just,
interesting thing that happened to me is once I did activate myself through Kundalini activation, the first plant medicine retreat I did after that or experience I had so much like Kundalini activation that I posted a video about it on TikTok. And it
Hmm.
says Kundalini activation after microdose of Bufo. And that happened last year on my experience that we took people down. We had a retreat down in Mexico. It was beautiful.
well, let's talk a little bit about Changa a little bit. A lot of people don't know about this medicine. I can tell you that's probably the only medicine I haven't done. I think it's a snuff. Correct me if I'm wrong. Um,
It's very similar to cannabis. You
oh,
would
it is.
smoke it out
Okay.
of a bong.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And then as you ingest it, by the time you exhale the medicine, you're in another dimension.
Hmm.
And it's where you go to a place that your mind needs to take you. You'll be there for 15 to 20 minutes. It's similar to Bufo, but it's not at all, because Bufo, typically people go to the darkness, they go to the light, and they're just kind of out and calm. With Changa and on Bufo, people want to be touched and like held and comforted. On Changa, it's a very private, personal, like, because you're in such a high vibration that it's alarming, it's startling, it's very bright, very color. It's the most visual psychedelic I've ever experienced. Um, and it's a quick in and out. Like a whole Changa ceremony lasts about 2 hours, and you can drive home afterwards, and you
Where
feel
is
great.
it? A plant? It's a plant.
It's
Where
the
does it come from?
Tepescohuite plant, and it comes from Mexico. The tribe, the Comcac tribe that I work with, they trade with the tribe just north of them. They live in southern Mexico, just away from the cartel, and they're kind of in the Yucatan Peninsula in the corner there. The the northern tribe, they trade Bufo for Chonga because the Comcac tribe gets the Bufo. So it is harvested in love with intention, and it is done by the tribes. It's not like somebody's ordering this off of Etsy. And it is natural. It's the Tepescohuite plant, and that grows naturally in Mexico. All Every country in the world has its own form of psychedelic. You know, Egyptians use blue lotus, Australians use chonga, um, Mexicans use chonga, bufo, and it can be a plant, and it can be, you know, an excrement from a toad or a viper or something that creates these healing modalities. But either way, it's connection to nature, and humans are nature, and we've forgotten that because we have these phones, we have everything is 3D hard, but we don't remember that if we just lay in the grass for 15 minutes and look up at the sun, how great that feels, and what a remembrance of peace that is.
So, so you're saying the Changa experience is very similar to the Bufo experience? Is there
It's
more of a darkness to the Changa experience, or and when you come out, is it like that bliss you have off the 5-MeO?
So it's brighter, it's very visual, whereas I've seen a lot of people just say they went to the darkness and bufo, and then when they woke up, they just felt great. They just felt like they had so much energy for life. With changa, you're pretty much aware of what's going on the whole time. It's very intense. Sometimes people cry and release as well, but it's kind of like, it's very similar, comparable to ayahuasca. It's like an ayahuasca, because that's the DMT that it is. It's not 5-MeO DMT. It's just single DMT, like ayahuasca.
Right, yeah, it's like
Very
smoking
interesting.
ayahuasca.
That would be the most
Very,
comparable way. But as far as like the way the ceremony goes, it's more similar to bufo than an ayahuasca ceremony. So that's why they're similar, but they're also different because of the experience you have.
it's
It's
just not a,
extremely colorful. I can't stress
yeah.
that enough. Like, it's overwhelming for people a lot of the time. So they
Hmm.
panic in the beginning, and we have to remind them to breathe. Whereas in
Mm,
bufo, typically people just go out and you're having to
Yeah.
remind them to breathe because they're just so deep in the
mm.
process.
So after the experience, have you seen the benefits?
Oh, 1,000%. Yes. We had a girl that was pronounced dead in December, and she's done 6 ceremonies with us and is now thriving in her business. She actually is doing the Kundalini activations with me, and she wants to get certified in that now. She comes to almost all of our sound healings, and her whole life has changed. She's talking about how when boys are in her energy, she feels different. She doesn't, she's just more aware energetically and physically of everything around her. And she's been the most profound transformation we've seen. But we've had other people with sound healing that have had major transformations without having to dig that deep.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So how often does one do that?
We would recommend, if you were trying to do like a protocol, you could do one once a week for 6 weeks, or you could do one every other week. It is cumulative, but at the same time, your life's going to continue going, so you don't need to jam them in and then go do another. Like, you can just do it. Our biggest thing is integration is 90% of the process. The experience is great. The ceremony is beautiful. But if you don't take what you saw and you don't start moving your body, eating healthier, enjoying nature, and slowing your breathing down so you can connect with people better, your quality of life isn't going to change at all, because all you did was have a colorful experience and you didn't integrate anything. So we're really big on integration.
It's pretty amazing to see so many people come through these experiences. They're so life changing, and then they go back
That's
and they
it right
continue.
there, is like when you
Yeah,
see somebody's life change, when you see their face go from one way
yeah,
to the next in like 15 minutes, or one ceremony,
yeah.
that's what gets my heart excited. That's what drives me. That's what gets me going.
But I think we have to be very careful to tell people that it's none of these are a quick fix. It's not you
No,
go in and 15 minutes later all your life problems are solved. It is
nope, it's all
not
on you.
the way
You're going to
this
gain
works.
awareness. Yeah, you're going to get the Cliff's notes on where you need
Right.
to make improvements in your life, and it's on you
Mhm.
to
Yeah,
take that information and work with it.
Mhm.
that's definitely a good way to put it. You just give these cliff notes because there's a big process to this plant medicine path, and the way we do this is, I mean, it's not like Western world medicine where you're just taking a pill and forgetting it and change. You're actually revisiting a lot of these whatever issues, traumas, whatever they are, and revisiting and changing them. I mean, like you say, these releases when you cry and when you do this, those are like those are deep wounds. I mean, I remember in the beginning, I couldn't even go 5 minutes without bawling because I had so much rooted trauma. It would be like, bah, bah, this one's coming out. I couldn't even talk half the time because I was so open. And, once those things start going out and once you start bringing shit to the surface, that's the deal. That's how that's really how plant medicines work. When you start bringing shit to the surface that you don't want to and just do whatever you want with it. I think it's how these medicines really work.
But you and I are the dharmic warriors that face it, and we walk this path to
Yeah,
uplift
yeah,
others.
sure. And I think we all have to be the warriors to face. You know, it's kind of boring being in the 3D world. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
It's really kind of boring. Once you're in this world, it's really kind of ineffective.
But why don't we go back to talk about crying for a second? You and me are both men, Mark, and when we
Yeah,
came
right.
into this process, Michelle, for
Sure,
you, it's a little more accepted for women to cry
for
in
sure.
society. And I hate that it's like that,
Yeah.
because I don't have a problem. I'll cry right now if you guys want me to.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I
just
understand.
coming to terms with being in a group of people and crying as a grown man, maybe even bawling, that was a lot to wrap your head around, wasn't it, Mark? That you had to do a lot of integration on just that, on allowing yourself to feel safe, to express yourself, to cry, to release that trauma. And as men, we're never taught that. I know my parents didn't teach me that. I love my parents more than anything, but we're just following the cycles of the generations before us. And there's so much generational trauma. They've done studies in rats where 7 generations down the line, the rats will not go near the edge of the thing because it was electrified 7 generations before. They won't even go near it. They're just so trained. And that's the same thing with humans. It's just mentality. So we dig deep, we release this stuff, but we have to allow ourselves to even do that. That's the trippy part too. You start tripping over your own ego. Can I do this? Can I? No, I'm not going to do this. And then that's where the healing stops. And I've seen it so many times.
Yep. You're exactly right. That's when the healing stops, when you start blaming others too.
Start
Victim
blaming others.
mentality.
Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
mean, radical accountability is
Yeah.
something that most people can't understand. And it's a very difficult thing to practice. Accountability, being accountable to a group or to your spouse or to a friend or whatever. But radical accountability is the understanding that it's not fault, because I hate the words fault and blame, but when something happens, how I take that and my reaction response to it, right? So when I say something like, even a woman who is battered, it is not her fault that she has been battered. But if we continue to stay in that situation, right, it's up to us what to do with it. It's radical accountability. And it's a really difficult concept. It's a really difficult concept. And it is only through plant medicines that I have begun to understand. And it's not about taking responsibility for every single thing in the whole world. That's reverse ego. That's not good either. But radical accountability is understanding that I have a part in every single bit of it, every single bit.
And then we use our consciousness to charge it negative or positive. It just
Absolutely.
is. In the universe, everything just exists.
Hmm.
And we as humans charge things. So in the healing part of this too, you also really have to be aware of your thoughts. Because every 17 seconds, thoughts are compounding. So if you're thinking about somebody cutting you off in traffic, 4 cycles of that is 68 seconds. That's a minute of you wasting time. Imagine how many minutes you spend telling people about that story that jerk cut you off and now that's why you're late. It's ridiculous. But people do it all the time. You've got to just change it and be like, you know what? He's in a rush. It's a beautiful day. I'm not in a rush. Keep going about your day. And just keep your thoughts pure and clean, because the more negativity you feed, the more that's going to attract to you. Your brain is a magnet for what you're trying to manifest.
Yeah, because it's easy to keep your words, but people aren't inside of your head. So it's that integrity, whether somebody's around or not around or whatever's going on. It's hard work though. There's nothing easy about any of this. Any of it.
Judging is one of the first things we're taught. So to stop
Well,
judging is wild.
but
Oh, you're
judgment
Christian, you're Jewish, you're Muslim, you're a
Mm.
different religion than me, so I got to judge you because you do different things than me.
and a lot of judgment comes from a mirror, because if you mirror any mirror of somebody else, I mean, you can't really have a judgment of something or somebody unless you're taught that, or unless you see that in yourself. So it's really hard to have judgment without seeing a mirror of something. There's a lot of things you learn on this path. It's kind of boring living in the 3D. So
Mhm.
tell us, before we end here, what else let's tell us what your business is, what you guys do. I know you and your wife are really involved in this community. So why don't you go ahead and tell us where we can find
You
you at?
guys do some really cool sound healings. I have not been there yet. We're in the same part of the world as Alexander, and you do sound healings in the pool where you're laying on these. You talk about it. It looks
Yeah, why don't you
incredible.
explain it? Why don't you say where we can find you at? Why don't you tell everybody?
Yeah, it's really exciting. So you could definitely find us on all social media platforms. We are Pure Serenity Naples. We have Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We don't really do TikTok too much. We are a shamanic style of sound healing. So we offer the didgeridoo, shamanic drums, shamanic rattles, and crystal singing bowls. And we also offer floating sound healing meditation, where you lay on an inflatable twin mattress in a pool. And it's really powerful for those, because people who have control issues or like to be in control, when you're floating on a mattress in a pool, you don't have control to just lean over and get up because you're afraid you're going to get wet. So it's a
Mm.
really good practice in surrender for certain people that want to be in control. And they've brought that to my attention. I never thought about that until somebody was like, yeah, I'm a real control freak and this happens. So we offer the sound healing. We do those once a week on Thursdays. We'll be doing the pool ones once the rainy season stops, probably here at the end of the month. We on Tuesday nights are offering the Kundalini activation, and we're doing those out of our home. And we are just starting a collaboration with the Domes of Naples, which is in Golden Gate City. And that's a new holistic center that is working with people who have addiction. It's a women's addiction center. So we're helping getting people back on their feet with that. In November, I have a deep dive. I'm going to Costa Rica for 3 weeks for a intensive medicine study to go live with 2 shaman, the original shaman that I healed with in Costa Rica with the ayahuasca. But we're going to do a
Cool.
study of multiple medicines, and it's just going to be me with them for 3 weeks. So
That's
after that,
amazing.
I already know that it's going to be a different version of me that comes back. And I'm actually
Absolutely.
terrified for that. I've had a lot of powerful meditations on that. So we're here in Naples. We do beach events. We do so much more. I mean, we can hold a private couples ceremony, just acknowledging people, our couples and our partners in relationships. Sometimes we kind of forget. And something quick I'll just share is the other day, my wife and I went to the beach for sunset. We don't get to do that all the time. And I was just thinking about Jesus Christ, and I was like, whenever they used to get somewhere, and I was brought up Christian, but I'm not religious at all. But I'm in a spiritual sense. I wanted to take a page out of Jesus's book, just expand my consciousness to his. And I was like, I'm going to bring a towel. And when we get off the beach, I'm going to wipe my wife's feet off and make sure all the sand's off and give her a nice little attention. And I personally don't like feet. That's not my thing. But it's nice that I was able to do that for her because she was loving it the whole time. She felt like a pretty princess. She said, she's like, nobody's ever done this for me. And it's those tiny little things. She's told 4 people about it. And it's these little acknowledgments. It's this little extra time you take to either acknowledge your partner, somebody in public, somebody at work. It changes their lives, and it changes your life.
One more time, the name of your business?
It's Pure Serenity Naples. We're
Pure
located in
Serenity.
Naples, Florida.
.com.
Oh, our website is plac.com. So it was Pure Life Advancement Coaching. We've kind of stepped away from coaching, and we're just doing more guide work and helping people go to retreats or plan plant medicine retreats and do the local things we do here.
PLAC.com.
Good stuff.
Alexander Shafer, nice to be with you today. Great little talk. More about Changa later.
Thank you so
Such an honor.
much. We love
Love you
hanging
guys.
out with you.
Ciao, ciao.
We love you too.